Hey, welcome to WTF Live. It's Thursday night. Wow, it's Thursday night already. Where'd the week go? That's awesome. It's almost Friday for you guys, your weekend. Tomorrow's my Monday. I hope everybody's doing good tonight. It's great to see everybody in chat. Just going to run down some names and say hi. Professor Orange Juice, what's up, buddy? Paul, Sandra, Cashew, Wonder Woman, Katie. Oh, all my favorite people are here. This is awesome. Audrey and Jamie. Good to see you guys. Hey, I got a treat for you guys. I did put together a show. Someone I've been wanting to talk to for a while, and you know, it was kind of a late thing, but tonight I have Tex from Trinity para-cryptid, also Texas Front Porch, here with us tonight. Yeah, I'm not even gonna babble on and on. I'm gonna bring Tex on now. What's up, brother?
How you doing, man?
Good, man. Welcome to Why the Fascination.
Man, oh yeah, that's a good one. You know, it's been a long time coming, man. I've been wanting to do this for a while.
Yeah, man. I think I popped on your channel one day. You did a midday thing, but yeah, I've been wanting to hook up with you for a while too.
So how's life been treating you? I see you're still good. Above water, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, I'm still breathing, you know, which is a good thing. You know, life is going good. Has snags here and there, but it is what it is. You know,
I hear that.
March on through them. Professor Orange Juice, sup, Mogs? You're like a celebrity, brah. Nah, man.
No. I'm starstruck. I don't know about anybody else.
Oh, please. So yeah, man, congrats on your channel. You know, your channel is doing awesome. I'm a big fan. I've been a fan for a while. Oh shit, that's what I wanted to do. I forgot my backpack. A while back, early on when I first got into YouTube and watching the chats and stuff, and I came on one of your shows, and I was listening and chatting, and you did a little giveaway, and you gave away a little multi-tool that was shaped like Bigfoot. Yep. And I won it. So yeah. And from the time I got that, it's been hanging off of my backpack, and I carry my backpack everywhere I go, you know. So I forgot to bring it in with me. I was going to show you it hanging off my backpack.
Well, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's cool. So yeah, like I said, and you said it's been a long time coming, and I'm so glad that day is here, man. It was kind of short notice, and I do appreciate you getting back to me and doing this so quickly. You know,
well, I'll tell you what, it fell right into place because I was actually, of course, we've got an expedition coming up, and that I'm hosting, and I was having a powwow about that, and that's why I came over to the studio, and that's the only time I really check my channel's email. If I get a Hotel Squatch, and she kind of keeps tab on it.
Sure.
I open it up and I see your email. I'm like, oh, what? What's the date on that? What's the date?
All right. Well, I'm glad you're not wearing a bandana tonight. Let me just look at chat real quick. Say hi to, let's see, Crow Creek. What's up, buddy? Tony, how you doing? Big Rob. Good to see you. Hi, Ray. Drake. Who else? Tracy Bowers. What the Paranormal? That's new to chat. I saw you were live. You were live earlier tonight. I saw that.
Yeah, I was actually in chat on her show. They were just
right on.
And I told everybody I was going to be over here. So, they
very cool.
people. So you might see a few new ones. And
awesome.
Thank you, Amy.
What's going on, Pappy? Good to see you, man. Larry M. Who else? See if I missed anybody. So yeah, so I guess I'll I'm going to jump in with some questions. Like, what got you involved in this, fringe, subjects? It's so unusual.
Well, it's kind of a lifetime story with me, actually. It's because it all kind of started when I was 16. I had a dogman sighting when I was 16.
Oh, geez.
And, you know, we didn't even, dogman term didn't even exist then, you know. So I just called it a werewolf. I didn't know what else to call it. And and then, you know, fast forward years and years and years and years, up to about 3 years ago, something like that. I stumbled across some stuff on YouTube, and I'm like, people are actually talking about this stuff. And I was listening to a channel. It's defunct now, unfortunately. She had a good thing going. It was Dogman Diaries. Okay. And I told my story on there. And she, for some reason, I don't know why, some people seem to like my voice, I guess. But I ended up doing some narration stuff for her. And then it just kind of snowballed. And then she went to the wayside. And then I got over at the BDRP for a couple of years. I was co-host over there. And I got to where I wanted to do my own thing, you know, spread my wings, and hell, here we are.
Right on. Yeah, you co-hosting on a BDRP, I think, is a little bit before my time. You know, I'm pretty new to YouTube. I mean, I've only been, you know, like in chats for just a little over a year now. But it's funny, you know. 2 years ago, if you told me I would be here, I'd be like, what the hell are you talking about? Right. And here we are. You know, you never know what's going to happen. It's pretty cool. So now you have this great show, and you have this co-host that just seems so kind of out of place, but he fits in. You know, I'm a big fan of Jason.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Well, and I've been, my channel's been up for a little over a year, and Jason's been with me almost a year, just about a year. And we actually met at the Jefferson, Texas Bigfoot Conference last year. He was there as a vendor. You know, he's got several books that he's published, and you know, stuff like that. He's been on Coast to Coast and everything, and we just hit it off. He sat down and he wanted to hear my encounter at the deal. And we swapped information and everything. And I asked him if he'd like to come on the show. And he said, yeah, I'd love to come on the show. He came on the show, and then we started talking more. And I asked him, I said, hey, how do you feel about being co-host, you know, on this thing? And man, it's been gold ever since. I mean, he's the icon. You know? That's awesome. He's definitely got the gift of gab. He does, man. He's very well spoken. You know, he is. He's very intelligent man. Very well read. You know, I enjoy listening to him, but you know, yeah. I want to hear you talk for a while though. And of course, you know, he just published his new book, Metroplex Monsters. So right on. There's that shameless plug in there for me. Oh, it's all good. But I welcome it. Got to support each other. Right. But yeah, he just did his second appearance on Coast to Coast, and he's been on a couple other stuff and shows, and he's got some other stuff in the works. I'm really proud of him, man. He's just gangbusters on this stuff, and me and him's been talking. And we got some other stuff in the works coming up for the channel. I think I'm pretty excited about it. So awesome, man! I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, it's just an odd. It looks like an odd match, but you guys mesh really well, and I'm so glad that you guys hooked up and that you guys are doing what you're doing. So thank you for that. Well, I appreciate that. That means a lot. Oh, absolutely. So how was it growing up? For you, compared to other kids, at 16, your paradigm changes. You realize there's something else out there. How was that for you? I mean, well, knowing that. I really didn't talk about it much. I mean, because, if, as a 16-year-old kid, you start telling stories like that, you're going to automatically put yourself on the outside, Sure. You're going to be the weird, and it was so I really didn't talk about it much. It was hard enough to convince my family, that when
Sure.
because they were trying to convince me it was, that I saw
A bear
some
or
crazy
something.
dude
Yeah.
or something, and my imagination took over and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, no, this thing was, 20, 30 feet in front of me in the daylight. I know what it was on a road, and I'm on foot. It's not like I drove by and caught a glance of it. This thing ran across the road for me. And so I kind of, I kept it on the down low and for a long time. And I would tell it every once in a while to somebody I trusted.
Sure.
And you kind of get the sideways looks, and they're like, oh well, yeah, that's cool. Bet that was scary,
Yeah. Well, if you were hearing it from a 16-year-old kid, your best friend turns to you and says, "Hey, by the way, guess what I saw?" Yeah, I get it.
And one night when I was older, I guess I was probably about 18, maybe 19. No, I guess I was about 18. But I was out with some buddies, and we were messing around, and we may or may not have had a drink or two, and we got talking about creepy stuff, and I said, I got one for you, and I told my story, and one of the guys there, a real good friend of mine, he got real quiet, and afterwards I was like, what's wrong, man? And he encountered something too. It wasn't the same thing that I did, but it was basically in the same area, about 10 miles as the crow flies. But he encountered something too. So it was, I knew then I wasn't nuts. And
Sure.
I actually had him on the show not too long ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's good, to have that affirmation at a young age like that.
And we're still best friends. So
that's awesome. That's great.
So if I'm crazy, he's crazy. He's been crazy with me for the past 30 some odd years. So.
Sure. Just gonna glance over here real quick.
But
hey, Bill, welcome.
It was funny because growing up, like, I went and saw Boggy Creek Monster at the theater when it first came out, and my part of my family is from Texarkana, which is right down the road from Falk, where Falk, Arkansas, where all this happened. And so I knew about this, but it really wasn't something that was on my mind all the time. It was just stories and stuff. But I can remember being a little kid, probably couldn't have been no older than 10 or so, and we were up there visiting. It was after the movie had come out, and one of my older cousins, it was me, my younger cousin, and two more cousins that were girls. We were out in the backyard, and we were hunting Bigfoot. We were hunting the fat monster, toy guns, that type.
Sure.
And now they had 100 acres of land out there, so it was pine forest. So, and we go back there and play in the trees. I mean, it didn't matter, back then.
Sure.
But anyway, we were just in the backyard of the house hunting Bigfoot. My older cousin, he goes out the front of the house, climbs up on the roof, comes back, puts on a gorilla mask, and jumps down out of the roof in the middle of us. Scared the bejesus out of every one of us. Everybody started running except my stupid butt. I stood there pulling the trigger on this toy gun at him. I didn't have the brains to run, man. But,
so Larry M wants to know, Tex, what did your buddy see? If it wasn't the same thing you saw, what did he see?
It wasn't the same thing I saw. What I saw was the closest I can. The only thing that Hollywood has produced that I can looks the most like it is from American Werewolf in London. From what I saw, now it wasn't as hairy as that one, but the face was, a lot like it. Didn't have
That's a
eye.
scary example too.
Yeah.
No, as far as werewolves go, that was one of the scarier ones. Movie werewolves go.
And it's still one of my favorite movies. I love to watch it. But
I haven't seen Legend of Boggy Creek yet.
Really,
never saw it.
It's cheesy.
It's kind of a running joke now with me and Ruger. He's like, "You'll never watch it." I'm like, "I'll watch it one day."
is because it was very, very low budget.
Sure.
And most, if not all, the people that were in the movie were the actual people that had the event.
Yeah.
So most of them are not actors. So you can't go into it looking for a bunch of good acting. You're not going to see it. But it's still my favorite Bigfoot movie. It's not the best one out there, but it's still my favorite. And I think that's mostly nostalgic stuff. But getting back. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
What my buddy saw, he saw more of it was a wolf, but it was more of almost a dire wolf. It was just a huge. Yeah, it wasn't on two legs. It was on four the whole time and everything. But it ran fast enough to keep up with his car, loping along the side of the road in his car at about 55 miles an hour.
Damn.
Yeah, and it was big enough to look. You just turn his head and look in the window. So it was big, and it followed him all the way to the house, and then it ran off into a field when he drove into the driveway.
I would have parked in the neighbor's driveway.
He actually
now knows where I live.
He actually went in and got his dad. They came out armed for bear and looking for it, and it wasn't nowhere to be found. Of course, that don't mean he wasn't back in the shadows watching.
Sure.
That's basically what he saw.
Sorry. So tell me, you said you have an expedition coming up that you're sponsoring. Tell us about that.
Well, I can't tell you a whole lot because I'm keeping the location. I'm keeping the specific date secret because
What month?
It's in November next month.
Okay, right on.
But what we're doing is, because I don't think it's been done. If it has been done, I don't think it's been done to the level and what we're going to do. Because what we're going to do is we're going to combine paranormal investigators with Bigfoot investigators and use all the tools. That we're combined.
Spirit boxes and everything. That's awesome. It's a great idea. There are some. I heard some. Actually, Mike, Long Island Bigfoot, is in chat right now. He was on last night. I believe he said he uses spirit boxes in some of the Bigfoot investigations he does. And I think it's a great idea, and I've been saying it recently, all along. Well, recently, I can't say all along. That personally, I think that when it comes out, it's going to disclosure or whatever, however it comes out, it's going to come out from somewhere that we don't expect it.
Right.
Like out of left field, and you're like, where the frig did they come from? And how did they do that? And it's going to be something unorthodox, I think. And if it means combining paranormal and Bigfoot research together, you got to try it. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, it's something I've been wanting to do for a long time, and it's actually a joint investigation with us and What the Paranormal.
Okay,
that was in here. They're going to be the main paranormal team, and so I really think that I don't think we'll probably come back with any answers. We're probably going back with a hell of a lot more questions. Because
it's usually the case,
right? For some
especially
reason,
in this.
For some reason, there seems to be either Bigfoot attracts paranormal, or the paranormal attracts Bigfoot. And I don't know which it is. May not find out, but
So where do the UFOs fit in?
That's another good question.
Is that in the paranormal, or is that a totally different, subject?
I don't know. I mean, you still got people on the fence that, are aliens actually aliens, or they, from, are they from heaven, are they from hell, are they from underwater? I mean, that's something we kind of dipped our toes in the water of that, but I had a few guests on my show that they had some pretty outlandish claims, but it was fascinating to hear them,
Sure.
So, but I don't know about the whole UFO thing, man. I've witnessed ghosts,
just weird,
and Bigfoot, but I've never seen a UFO. So,
yeah, I've never seen Bigfoot. I've never seen a UFO, but I've experienced paranormal.
Right.
And
see, if you were closer, I'd love to have your butt down here too.
Where are you at?
Texas.
You are in Texas, but where? Like southeast or eastern, or it's a big state.
Dallas Fort Worth.
Okay, all right. I think Ray Dawes over in the Dallas area. See, she's here in chat. Yeah, I'm actually in the spring. I'm going to head to Florida. I'm going to go with Carrie and that group down there. But along the way, I think I'm going to take some time off, enough time off so I can take my time, right, stop and meet some people, along the way, and just say hi. And I'm overdue. I need a break. How long it's been. My idea of a vacation is like taking 2 days off of work that coincide with my days off. So I have 5 days, I need some time off.
I totally understand that, brother. Well, I'll tell you what, if you're anywhere near, you say the word, and if nothing else, first round's on me.
Well, right on, man. Don't drink, but right on.
We'll drink a tea or something. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I know. I appreciate that. I'm just
how might you buy you a steak dinner?
What's going on, Arizona Squatch? How's it going, Kevin? Good to see you. I saw Rill in here. Good to see you too, hon. If you guys have any questions for Tex, please put them in caps so I can, it'll catch my attention. Just looking. Do you mind if someone comes on with us? If I invite somebody to come on, hey guys, anybody in chat, I'll put the email. You guys should know it by heart by now. monstermogion@gmail.com. If someone wants to come on, has maybe you've been wanting to ask Tex a question yourself for a while, or you just want to come on and BS with us, send me your email address and I'll hit you up with the link. I'll bring you on. We do this every week. I mean, I haven't like scheduled a guest in 3 months. It's just, and it's working out beautifully. I love these guys. Yeah,
you got a great bunch.
Yeah, and the show's designed. It's for everybody in chat. Being a chatter, being a mod, being, you gotta. It's where the show is for me. And I'm getting to meet people, and they'll come. People come on my show that don't normally come on to other shows. It's pretty interesting, and I'm glad that they're comfortable enough to do that. I met some wonderful people in the past, since I started doing live shows, since I started doing any of the shows,
right,
the pre-recorded and the live. They're just amazing people out there, and I'm really thrilled to be part of this whole, community, if you will.
Yeah, we've got a great bunch, over in ours, and you've got a great bunch here, and I see a lot of the same people.
Oh yeah, and that's awesome.
Yeah, it is. I was kind of watching chat. I caught a few questions. Do I live near the Trinity River? Anybody in this area lives near the Trinity River. It winds all over the place down here. But I used to fish the Trinity quite a bit. Um, thank you, Professor.
Tex, we love you, bro. Not like that, though. Well, Mogs does, but you know. Fucking, that's how rumors start. Even if it's true. Even if it's true. You know.
Yeah, I don't know if Amy's still in here or not. She may have went to bed.
Oh, from
What the Paranormal,
yeah. Yeah.
There was something else in here. Let's see. Somebody else asked a question. I don't remember what it was. Oh, thank you, Bell Prepper. You plugged my channel.
All right, I got some people wanting to come on. I really want to get somebody like. No offense, Mike. I love you, buddy. You were on last night. No,
Amy is actually still here.
I just really want to get somebody that's gonna. Well, yeah, anybody. Where did Arizona Squatch go, Kevin? Let me see. Where is? This could be an interesting conversation. Let me bring Kevin on. Damn, Kevin, you have enough emails? I'm not sure which one I'm sending it to, but let's try it out. Well, there's 3 that popped up. I'm like, crap. Let's see how this goes. There we go. So yeah, Arizona Squatch is he has a channel. He's a researcher here in Arizona. I don't know if you've ever caught any of his shows.
I've seen some of his stuff.
I've been to his camp up on the Mogollon Rim. It's a gorgeous area. And he's been a guest a few times. I went up there and did an interview with him. That was really cool to do an on location, interview. Let's see. I gotta go check because I might have sent the wrong Arizona Square. That's the one I sent, dude. So Kevin, you should be. Yeah, there you go. He's here. Kevin, what's going on, dude?
Not much, brother. How you doing?
All right. Have you ever met Tex, Kevin, Tex?
No, I haven't. Nice to meet you, Tex.
Nice to meet you, brother.
So how was your latest outing, dude?
Minus the skunks, it was pretty good.
That's funny. I just had 2 skunks in my yard earlier, like an hour ago.
Yeah, it was up in the Sierra Anches, up above Roosevelt Lake.
Okay.
Did 2 nights up there, a place that we call Crazy Town. And yes, we did have activity, but we also had 2 skunks that were making themselves known. I literally the first night was standing there by the creek, between the camp and the creek, and I looked down, sitting in complete darkness. I look down and I see this white stripe literally walk about 8 inches away from me, and it drops down into the creek. And I'm like, dude, you just, I'm not going to move. You do your thing. I'm going to do my thing, and life will be good. But
yeah, no. Great Lake Sasquatch. Do skunks hibernate in Arizona? Maybe up high, but I mean,
yeah, maybe up on top of the Mogollon Rim and the higher altitudes when you get up around 7,000 foot level or higher. But down in the deserts and the lower altitudes, no, they don't hibernate. They're too busy eating rattlesnakes and other things.
Do they eat rattlesnakes?
Oh yeah, they're actually immune to the venom. The snake will bite them, and it'll affect them for a little bit, and then the skunk it comes back to, and it goes and gets the snake and eats the snake. You can see there's videos on YouTube about it, but yeah, skunks eat rattlesnakes.
My cousin recently passed. He lived in Pumpkin Center. You know where that is.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And he was a falconer. He had a falcon, a hawk, a red-tailed hawk that got bit by a rattlesnake. Didn't do a damn thing to it.
Yeah.
I don't understand how it can affect some and not others, but
Well, yeah. We won't talk about the red-tailed hawk that I didn't have when I was a teenager.
No, we won't talk about it.
But red-tailed hawks are very amazing birds.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, we got a bunch of them down here too. They are pretty.
So aside from the skunks, what was going on over in Crazy Town?
It's for us. It was a pretty slow couple of nights. With that being said, we still had pretty decent activity. We could hear the footsteps around us. I saw a dark image move by. One of the other guys, Wayne, he saw a dark image move by. Chuck and myself, we both saw what in the industry, they call it a cloaked Bigfoot, and I absolutely despise that term because it automatically brings into the mind science fiction. That's what I refer to as a distortion or a shimmering image, and we had that probably about 10 feet in front of us. We did find a footprint. I haven't been through my second night's worth of audio, but the first night's worth of audio, I believe I have spoken language again. I can't make out exactly, what he's saying, but it definitely sounds like an older male, very, very scruff voice. But
you had an active couple days.
Yeah, for that place, we call it Crazy Town for a reason because of the crazy stuff that happens there. So for that location, it was kind of a, and Chuck gives me crap about this all the time when I go, just the normal, the usual. And there's so many people out there who would kill to have what I consider the normal, the usual. It's just like, all right, yeah, they're here, not doing anything spectacular. But with that being said, we still had quite a bit of activity.
Good. Yeah, Tex, he gets some. They get some. I've heard some weird stories from up there. It's not what I would expect from Bigfoot encounters. So I was really surprised when I heard his stories. It's more.
Yeah.
What would you?
Well, I'm going to try and show a picture here. This is from the trip prior. My last trip up to Squatch Camp up on the Mogollon Rim. We had the whole family up there, and I had some friends up there, and I was up there for like 13 days and quite a bit of activity. But my daughter-in-law was taking her 4-year-old boy back into the trees to go to the bathroom where they had their little porta potty set up. And she had looked down on a rock and saw a little stick figure there. And baby Ryan, he stepped on it, and she kind of got brokenhearted about it. And so she came back to camp and was telling me about it. And I said, well, is it still there? And she goes, yeah. I said, well, go get it. And she brought it over, and I looked at it, and it was like, yeah, I can see where that, where that looks like a stick figure. And unbeknownst to me, the next morning, she found another one. Because it wasn't, this one, Ryan, my grandson, didn't get a chance to step on it. So she has the two of them. And I didn't know she had the second one until I asked her for a picture of the first one. And so I don't know how well this is going to show up on here.
No, it shows up good. That's cool.
Yeah. But they're little pine branches with pine cones tied to them. With like the soft part of the branch, like they peeled a piece of the branch off and got to the soft skin on the inside and tied the pine cones on with that. So that was pretty cool. And I told her, I said, well, you taking that home? And she said, well, no, why? I said, that's a gift, and it's very important for you to take that home. And she said, well, how do you know it was for me? I said, well, what made you look down at that particular rock to see that? She goes, well, I don't know. I said, well, there you go. You know, that they were letting you know that, you know, there was something there for you. You know, I've had them do that to me on multiple occasions.
So Aaron wants to know, what's the main food source on the Mogollon Rim? Jeez, elk, deer, apparently skunk.
There's all kinds of livestock up there as far as the deer and the elk and what have you. And I constantly have people ask me, what do I think they eat? And my response is, I don't know. I've never seen them eat.
Sure. Probably anything they want.
Yeah. You know, if they were solely carnivorous, we wouldn't have an elk and deer population up there, especially for as many of them, you know, the forest people that I'm aware of that's up there. And I'm probably only aware of probably 1% of them. But, you know, I've probably 27 different sets of tracks between 3 locations.
Wow.
There's a lot of people that say that there's maybe only 5,000 in the entire state, you know, lower 48.
No.
No.
I don't buy that.
Real quick, I just want to say, hey, Tony, check your email. Crow Creek. There you go. Sorry. Bjorn asked us earlier, have any of us seen the Tombstone Thunderbird photos? Do you think it's real? It's an old Civil War. There was a picture taken down in Tombstone. Yeah, it's black and white.
Yeah, me and Jason actually talked about that on the show
recently, right?
Yeah. He said it's fake.
Yeah. I haven't seen it, so I can't respond to it. I know there's a lot of weird stuff down in Tombstone. Been down there a few times, and in the haunted hotel, and my wife and old friend of ours, they were actually walking through what they call the haunted hallway, and they were just snapping pictures with their cell phones, and you know, they got apparitions, full body.
Yeah, the only ghost type of thing I've seen was an orb. You know, that's the only visual I've had. I mean, I've witnessed, you know, corks flying out of bottles and you know, weird manipulation like that.
Well,
you know,
I don't.
Go ahead,
Russ. I don't know if I've ever told you, and I know I've never mentioned it on my channel, but we've had a ghost living with us for 31 years.
Yeah, you never told me.
Yeah,
by the way,
we call him Bob. We picked him up when I was.
Does sound familiar.
Well, we picked him up at when I was stationed at Fort Knox. We kept having all kinds of stuff going on in our house, and the kids were getting scared about it, and you know, so I told him, I said, it's nothing to be afraid of. You know, he's not going to hurt us, and you know, and at one point I did see an image go by me, and it was a Confederate soldier. But as soon as I turned to look at it, you know, there was nothing there, but I saw this figure walk out of a wall, you know, past my peripheral vision. So when I came down on orders to leave Fort Knox and go to Germany and then over to Desert Storm, I just kind of half-heartedly, you know, said, "Hey, Bob, you're part of the family now. We're leaving. If you want to come with us, you know, come on." And he's been with us ever since. I mean, one of the most recent things he started doing was playing with our garage door up and down and up and down and up and down.
So you got an annoying ghost.
He just once in a while lets us know that he's there. You know, we'll hear a door shut in the back room, TV set, you know, just all the normal stuff you always hear about. You know, never done anything that was scary or you know, I thought for a minute was harmful. But yeah, he's been with us 31 years.
Yeah, that's like family.
Yeah.
Crow, I sent that again. We'll see if it comes through. Just reading chat real quick. I'm not ignoring you. Let's see. I know they saw some other questions. Go ahead.
I had a ghost experience. Was really crazy. I was working nights at the time, and I was up during the day, and it was just me and the dogs at the house. And I'm in the kitchen, and if you looked right, the doorway to the kitchen looked out to the fireplace, on this wall. And I don't know, I caught something out in the corner of my eye. I'm standing there cooking, and I look up, and there's a guy standing there, one leg kicked up on the wall of the fireplace. He's wearing a broad brim hat, long saddle coat, with a rifle cooked over his arm, just standing there. And it didn't poof, it was gone. He kind of just faded out. So we had a lot of activity in that house, but it wasn't nothing, and there was nothing aggressive or anything like that. It was just, we'd hear kind of like kids running across, up in the game room above us, and everybody was downstairs. So.
Well, it makes you wonder, though. I think it's fascinating. The whole paranormal.
And that was what was weird is struck us as strange is it was a brand new house. We were the first owners, and
might be the land.
Well, and that's what we got to looking into, and come to find out there was a cattle drive that was going through there, and there was a bunch of cowboys and some kids that they were kind of bringing up, be their first cattle drive type thing, and they got killed by a war party, and there wasn't any survivors, so that kind of explained that. But one night I woke up with what. If you've ever had kids or even a dog sleep in the bed, they'll get to pushing their feet into your back,
Every night.
Yeah.
And, I think my dog knows what a little to the left means.
Right?
You're lucky.
So, so anyway, I felt like I was getting feet in my back, I'm like, okay. So I sat up on the edge of the bed, and I turned around and I looked, and it was my wife, the dog, and my youngest daughter. I'm like, okay. Well, bed's full, so, and my daughter, she's covered up all the way up to here, just top of her head sticking out. I reached over, pat her on the head, and I just got up, went upstairs. I said, well, I'll just go crash in her room. I walk upstairs, I go in her room, and she's not there, or she's laying in her bed. She's laying right there. And I'm like, So I walk back downstairs, and it's just my wife and the dog in bed.
Wow.
I don't know what it was, but whatever it was, I patted on the head.
Jeez.
Wow. My wife, she had her name called constantly when she'd be there by herself.
So, Tex, I'm going to introduce you to Megan Richardson. She puts comments out there that just crack me up. Tex, for the love of God, please represent the headband correctly and put it on a Moog Sweet headband. You're killing me with that orange head condom. I love it, Megan. You're awesome. Yeah, she comes out with some great stuff that just cracks me up. All right. Well, I'm going to add one more to this lineup.
I got my bald ass head sticking out the top.
Crow, what's up, man? How you doing, Tony?
What's up, Tony?
Oh, Megan.
Hey,
how y'all doing tonight?
Awesome.
Living the dream.
One nightmare at a time.
Yeah.
That's it.
He said dream, and nightmare popped into my head, too.
Well, nightmares are dreams. So there you go.
They're one and the same, I think, sometimes.
So how you feeling, Tony? You doing all right?
Still dizzy, man.
Yeah, still.
Yeah. Which has happened before, but I've been to 2 different doctors already, and they can't find out what's causing it. So
That's unfortunate.
It happened when I went down there and was tearing a couple of small beaver dams down. And as I started out, I was videoing, and man, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I had to take a knee. And now I think it was the 17th. And like I said, it's happened before. It's not unusual, but it usually starts to fade some, but it's not fading with me this time.
Huh.
But
Wow.
I made it through.
You have our prayers, man.
Has it always happened outside?
I'm sorry it broke up there, Tex.
Has it always happened to you when you're outside?
Yeah, it's never happened to me in the house.
Really?
I think I might have caught something on video right before I get sick, down at about 60 yards in front of me. And if it's hard for me to see on this little phone, so I'm uploading it. It should be up tomorrow probably. But from what I can see on my phone, it looks like something up there walks to the left, but I'm not sure because, like I say, it's so small on this phone, I can't tell.
I'm unaware of what you had happen. What's going on?
Well, we've got the big guys around here. And I went down to clean a couple of small beaver dams down, which some of the logs, I just don't see a beaver dragging into that. It may be 1.5 feet deep, and some of these logs are pretty daggum heavy. Like I say, y'all know I'm a big guy. I'm 6'5", about 250. And I've been down there before, and I've had trees maybe 3 feet from the bottom, barks peeled off all the way around. And they'll take it over to that waterway where the beaver dam is, and it's jabbed in the ground, standing up. So when that's dammed up in those woods, there's a big water hole. So I know they'd like to hang out in there, and they like to tear trees up, and I think they're damming that up for a reason, for the fish or whatever.
Sure.
Turtles. And I've tore it down like that before, and but this time it wasn't none of the bark standing up. It was just some big limbs, big heavy limbs that I don't think a beaver could have drug across those, through the woods to get it there. But once I tore it down, or tore 2 of them down, I was heading out, and I got about 30 yards from it, and that's when it hit me. And I had to take a knee, which is nothing unusual. It's happened to me before. They've got me several times. So I've been sick for a week, and one time sick for a month.
Try this. I know it may sound a little on the off the wall side, but ask them to please stop doing that to you, that it's uncomfortable and it's not making you feel good, and see what happens. We've had so much stuff happen. I mean, I've literally been paralyzed to where I can't move my arms and my legs and that. And I tell them, I don't like it when you do that. Will you please stop doing that? And they'll stop. 99.9% of the time, it'll stop immediately. If I'm sitting in my chair, I typically don't mind when that happens. Because this is all part of the experience of learning who and what these individuals out there are and what they're capable of. I've had them give me headaches, and I ask them, hey, I don't like that. It hurts. Will you please stop? And it stops. Sometimes when I'm getting a light zap, it's like, hey guys, I feel that. Thank you. You can make it stronger if you want. And that's like the rheostat gets turned, and the zap just skyrockets. And so give that a try. If you're still experiencing it, just ask them, to please stop. That it doesn't feel good, you're uncomfortable with it, and that you don't like it, and more than likely they'll stop doing it.
Couldn't hurt.
No, I was.
Yeah,
I got zapped one time. I think I had wore out my welcome. I'd been to the same place 3 times that day, and I mean, it hit me like a freight train, man. It was. I got all the color drained out of my face. I broke out in a cold sweat. I got real dizzy. I was hugging a tree trying to stand up. And
you were really close to one of them at that point in time. Now, did you get the feeling that you shouldn't be there or that you needed to leave?
No, we got later on we got growled at.
Then they they didn't care that you were there. If they don't want you there, you're going to get that uneasy feeling of I'm not supposed to be here. I need to leave. They do this through the mind speak telepathy. They can make you afraid. They can make you happy. My buddy Chuck can attest to this one. I was getting a power zap, and right after the power zap, normally what happens is like 20 minutes after I get a power zap, all my energy is drained and I got to go to bed. It's fighting to keep my eyes open. Well, this one particular time, they decided to, it's like I did a line about that long. I bounced up out of the chair and I was dancing and singing songs, from the 70s and up bouncing around and dancing and singing that's not me. Chuck was sitting there going, what the hell is wrong with you? And, so they have the ability to do all kinds of things, so I've heard of them, making people, they do things that make people sick. And I don't think it's anything that they're intentionally doing to make you sick. It's just the way your body is reacting to it, so whatever they're doing, is your body's not liking it, so just ask them to stop. But as far as you there in Texas, I don't think that they were wanting you to leave. I just think you were really close to one of them, and he was, these real strong zaps like that. In my humble opinion, somehow they're doing a neurological handshake with you. They're learning about you, who you are, what you're about. They instantly, know everything about you, from that second all the way, your whole entire life. That's just my humble opinion. And that comes from after just shy of 7,000 hours out in the field, boots on the ground.
You have some hours invested, that's for sure.
Mine lasted about, 10 minutes. And I felt better after it went away than I did before it happened. It was really weird. And like I said, I'd been back at that same place as the 3rd time that night. And been up there twice by myself. And the second time up there, the first time I got out of my truck and there were footfalls all over the place. I'm like, okay, I'm going to back out and think about this. And backed out, I came back, and I could still hear them walking around, but there wasn't quite as many. So I went ahead and went up to the place I was going to, and it was night, and I caught some eye shine about, 10 yards back to my left when I was up there. And it was about 2.5 feet off the ground, which, no big deal, could be any animal. But this any animal had eyes that were about 8-10 inches apart, about bigger eyes than a silver dollar. And so I'm sitting there, and it's playing peekaboo behind a tree with me. I've got my light in its eyes. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. And then it stood up. And I decided then that, it's time to back out of here. So ended the second trip, went back down, regrouped, actually met up with some guys, and we went back up there for the 3rd time. And we had found a bedding area. It was a cedar tree, and all the limbs had been stripped off the cedar tree off one side from about 10 feet up all the way down. And been cut off, had been stripped off and laid down at the bottom, and something had been bedding down in his cedar tree, in his cedar limb. And this is after I got zapped. We were walking around, I got zapped. We went on, we found the bedding area, and we went down a little bit further, go a little bit deeper in, and I spotted this game trail, big old game trail. And we were in single file line. I was in front, and I took about 2 steps towards this game trail, and we felt this as much as we heard it. It was just a, and it was like, okay, well, we'll back out of here. We done wore out our welcome, and we backed out. And then we went back down the road to our campsite, and we got screamed at from the area we just left. And about 20 minutes later, we got screamed at again, and it had moved to about our you know, from faces about, it started at about it'd be 7 o'clock, and then the next time it was about just right about my 10 o'clock. So, and that was, you know, about 20 minutes later, and I've never heard a scream like that in my life. I've heard panthers scream, I've heard everything, and never heard anything like that. You know, it was crazy.
Yeah, it'll make your hair stand up the first time you hear it. So
I bet.
Yeah.
But that's what I was going to say, Tony, is when you started talking about that, and you said it's every time you've had it happen, you've had it happen outside. I don't know if the doctors are going to be able to help you.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I know what you were getting at when you started to say that, you know, when you asked me that question.
I think you're getting zapped, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if it's telepathic stuff. I can't speak to that. But I know there's a theory out there it could be infrasound. If it is, they're not the only animal in the animal kingdom that has that ability.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. The whole infrasound thing, we've kind of shot that one in the foot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. On multiple occasions. You know, I'll give you one for instance. My son, we're on a big camp out. You know, it's my whole family, and my son, his daughter, who was 15 at the time, my both of my son-in-laws, and my son was holding his little boy who was 2 years old at the time, and he kept staring off at this one spot, you know, and we'd walked outside of the camp because in the camp we had the fire going, you know, because we're doing the camp out thing. And so we were doing the squatching thing, and I knew they were there. And so we'd walked out kind of in the area where I knew they were at. And my grandson, he just kept staring in this one spot no matter where we went. And my son was like, do you think he can see one? I said, oh, I guarantee you he's looking at one. And right as I said that, he starts looking me up and down and looking at his dad and looking his dad up and down, then looking back up there and, you know, out and looking, you know, it was like, wait a minute, I thought my papa and my daddy were big, but this guy's huge. You know, he had that kind of look on his face. And all of a sudden he started going into convulsions, and my son started freaking out like, Dad, what's going on? I said, son, he's getting zapped. You know, they're making a connection with him. They're not hurting him. He's okay. And, you know, and if I wasn't comfortable with what I'm saying, I would not put, you know, my kids grandkids in that kind of a position under any circumstance. But I'm confident enough in my experiences and the things that I, you know. But he was in convulsions, and then he stopped, and he was doing just fine. And my son says, if you guys just did that to him, can you do something to let him know everything's okay? And then my grandson waves at them. You know, this is a 2-year-old. You know, he's not waving at a tree. He's waving at what he's looking at. So my grandson got zapped. My son is holding him, and my son felt absolutely nothing. About 15 minutes after that, we're almost back to the campsite, my son gets zapped, and there was, no reaction from my grandson. So if this was infrasound, it would have affected both of them. And every time that we're out, when I have other people out with me, a good part of my time I'm by myself, but I do have a group of people now that go out with me regularly. But my primary research partner, Chuck, we'll be sitting there. He'll get zapped. I won't, or vice versa. And I'm not a doctorate. I don't have a doctorate in sound and all that kind of stuff. But I do understand how sound waves travel, and I know that they can be, narrow sound waves, and wide sound waves. But what we've experienced, we've come to the conclusion that it's not infrasound, that there's something else going on.
You don't think they can direct it that well? You know what I mean? Because I've heard instances of people standing next to each other and only one gets hit.
And so that's how we were.
I don't know. I don't understand how a sound wave, can hit one target area, but only affect a small. My son's holding his son, 2-year-old, and he's holding him. And
okay, I understand.
Got his arm around his back. My grandson's getting zapped. Nothing happened to my son, and I just don't understand how a sound wave could possibly account for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very well spoken.
I don't think I realized that he was holding him at the time.
Yeah.
Like Tex said earlier, I've had it happen before. One time, and I didn't sleep for 3 days, and I felt like I was in my 20s again. I felt great for 3 days. Didn't sleep. Felt great. And then one time I was sick for a month, man. I didn't know if I was going to get over it.
Yeah, I've heard. This is not the first time I've heard experiences like yours, Tony. It's. Oh, I want to get that. I want to address that question.
Right on.
It's we don't know the capabilities of these creatures. We just don't. The whole, telepathy, the mind speak. I've never had it happen to me that I know of. But I have good friends that say they communicate with them. My worry is, and I've said this 100 times, my worry is it really these creatures that they're dealing with? Or is it something manipulating them and deceiving them, and it could be something not so good.
Yeah, it's a great argument.
Yeah, no, and I have that go through my head all the time out there. But as far as this question, why do some people have terrifying experiences and other have interactions? The people who are having terrifying experiences, they're having an interaction. Whether they're having their metal tested or whatever the situation is, you have to remember that we have been programmed since birth that anything that goes bump in the night, especially out in the woods, is dangerous. And that's not always the case. I can tell you my very first experience when I was a young Boy Scout, I was terrified. I was scared shitless. I thought I was going to be eaten alive. I didn't understand at that point in time what was going on. Now, knowing what I know, the juveniles, they're just like our juveniles. They're mischievous. They like to do things. They will go out and try and scare people. If you know they're there, and it's like, hey, I know you're there. you don't have to try and scare me because I'm not afraid of you. Then they back off. You know, they lighten up on what they're doing. But a lot of times they're going to test your mettle to see what you're made of. But I would have to say majority of the time, it's just people misinterpreting what's going on, and fear kicks in. And what is fear? Fear is a reaction to the unknown.
See, I agree
self-preservation.
I pretty much agree with that, because I don't think, you know, a lot of these, what people are calling aggressive encounters, they're not aggressive. It's these things trying to keep it from getting aggressive. And even all the way up to bluff charging, they're not trying to hurt you. If they're trying to hurt you, they'd do it. There ain't no two ways about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's these creatures, or these people. I don't know what they are. I honestly don't. I think it's when you have like a bluff charge or a growl or something like that. It's them wanting you. Look, you're in my living room, and I'm not too happy to hear. If you keep pressing or doing what you're doing, it's going to escalate. And I think it's them consciously trying to keep it from getting that way. So, you know, I don't consider anything that I've had an aggressive encounter. I really don't. But I do know that people deal with things a lot differently.
Sure.
I'm lucky that I've dealt with it the way I have, but not everybody does. And I'm not saying I'm any braver than any man out there or anything else. It's just, you know, it's luck of the draw. But there's people out there that can even see that. I've had people contact me that have seen these creatures, and not only these, but dogmen too, from a distance in the safety of their car driving down the road, and they are just traumatized. And they can't get their mind wrapped around something that's not supposed to exist. And and I've said it 1,000 times, that's the number one thing that you have to deal with when you have an encounter, is your mind has to reboot.
Yeah, it's a paradigm shift.
Yeah, you question your own sanity. God knows I did, but
I still do.
Yeah,
you know, it's like I had somebody comment on my page, and you know, and I don't take anybody's comments down. You know, saying that I was a nutcase, and I was like, you know what, you're absolutely right. 3 years ago, if I would have heard somebody saying the things that I'm saying, I would say the same exact thing. This guy's a nutcase. Yeah. But here lies the problem. I'm the one putting the boots on the ground, you know, spending the time out there, figuring this stuff out, learning from them, not sitting on a computer, you know, trying to, you know, and no offense to anybody out there, but I'm out doing the real work.
You're not an armchair researcher.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
I will say this: there's a damn good place for those people, because
absolutely,
you know, they do a lot of research that personally I don't care to do. And you know, if we can do what we're all trying to do, I think, is, you know, work together, you know, that's great. But you're right. I mean, it's until somebody experiences what you're experiencing, you know, who are they to call you nutcase? Who am I to call you nutcase just because you've experienced stuff different than I have? You know, now I'll tell you, a year ago or a little over a year ago, I was strictly in the ape camp. These things were nothing but a wild animal, and that's what they were. Now I'm on the fence. I don't know, because I've had different experiences. I know people that I trust that's had different experiences, and I'm not going to call anybody a liar, because I've had some weird freaking stuff happen.
Sure.
You know, and
me too.
Number one, to be in this field, and if we're going to learn anything, we've got to be open-minded, and we've got to be accepting of other theories and other people's thoughts on this stuff. Or you can't be bullheaded, and you're just going to you're shooting your own self in the foot, you know, as far as the information that we're going to learn. Now, I'm not saying running in these things isn't scary. It is. I mean, these things are huge. I've got a picture of one that's 12 feet tall, and before I saw this picture, and I went out and personally took the comparison photos. I thought it was a case of, people. I caught fish this big, type thing, and I didn't think these creatures got that damn big, but they do.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't think they all get that big. I think that's probably not the norm.
Regional.
Yeah, but I think you may have one out of however many, that get that big. But I think probably the average height is probably 8 feet, 7, 8 feet. But because if you just look at most of the sightings that you hear about, 7, 8 feet, and every once in a while you get one, he was 10, 12 feet tall, but I think for the most part, and probably most of what people see are not the real old ones anyway.
Yeah, I agree. And, the one that I call Indy, his footprint is 10.5 inches across at the toes and minimum 23 inches in length. Couldn't because of how the substrate is up on the Mogollon Rim, the structure of the ground. It's not very conducive for leaving tracks. But I have found his tracks, and 10.5 inches across at the toes and no less than 23 inches in length. And I have seen him. It was a night sighting. Yeah, he'd walked by. That? I don't know. But he had walked just outside of the camp. I heard the noise and I looked over and I just barely caught him from the barrel of his chest, from the front of his chest to the back of his chest was at least 3 feet thick. Yeah. And because of the young pine trees that were on the other side of this little 2-track road, I was able to see about 1 foot to 2 feet at the top of these trees, and they're about 15 feet tall, 14 feet tall. So we're putting them about 11 and a half foot tall. Yeah, just huge. And the thing that amazes me is with their size, how fast they move, and they'll make no more sound than a butterfly.
Right.
It just boggles the mind.
I think there's 2 reasons you see these things. One is they want you to. 2 is they screw up.
It's by accident. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's that goes past, those when you see them when you're passing by it in a car, those are the accidents.
Well, I know the Apache Indians say that you will see the hairy man when he lets you. Chuck has spent some time on the White Mountain Apache tribe doing some investigations because he's a field investigator with the BFRO, even though he's not in the same paradigm as what the BFRO is. Because of the experiences we've had, he's fallen off that fence.
Chuck has had some weird experiences.
Yes, he has.
I don't know what I'd do if something materialized where I was sleeping in my van or something, but that happened to Chuck. That's a little freaky. It's not how I want to be introduced to him.
Oh, I've had him inside my tent.
Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, that's.
There you are. We were talking about. You mentioned disclosure earlier. I think what's happening is I think they're gearing up for soft disclosure. And what I mean by that is if you look the way they've done UFOs.
Sure.
It took them, 70 plus years. And they finally, the Navy finally came out to the
and that's just since Roswell.
Right. And, and the Navy came out, what was it, last year? Or was it earlier this year? I can't remember. I said, here it is.
about 2 years ago on Tucker Carlson on Fox News was the first time. I think it was about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That they had the Navy pilot on there, and since then it's just
right.
Now was that the whole one off of the California coast with the Nimitz, or
not the first one that Tucker Carlson broke, I believe, was the one they called the Tic Tac.
Yeah.
And I believe he's had two other people on since then, two other pilots that that have verified, basically said, was asked, excuse me, was asked, do you think these are from another world? And basically the answer was, we don't have this technology.
Right.
Yeah.
I think what's going on is because if you look at what's been happening since the Patterson-Gimlin field came out, I mean, that was the first.
Mm-hmm.
And all the movies, and now we're getting into the kids' movies,
Oh, yeah.
and everything. And the son of Bigfoot. It's a
desensitizing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think what they want to happen is it's just like what happened with UFO. They came out and said, yeah, they're here, and hardly anybody talked about it. Even in our circles, hardly anybody. It wasn't this big thing,
Reveal. No, it was like, no shit.
Right. And I think
tell us something we don't know.
I think it's what's happening here with all these movies and all this kind of stuff. That when they do get, most of us are gonna go, well, we knew, so what?
Most of us that believe, but you will have a major population that's just like, what?
But I think what they're trying
it'll probably go over like a fart in church, It's just
I think what they're trying to prevent is what would happen with the timber industry, the parks industry, the tourism in general. Not to mention all the assholes that you're going to have coming out to try to
hunting.
Yeah, put a hole in the wall. I know a few people. That's the first thing would happen. They'd go out and try to find one of these things. And nothing drives me crazier than to hear one of these hunters go, "Well, I've been hunting for years. I ain't never seen one of these things. Were you looking for them?" Well, no, I'm going to look for something that ain't there. Well, there you go.
And they're walking around with a rifle. No, they're not going to see them.
Exactly.
So, I've hunted my entire life. I've been in the outdoors my entire life. I've backpacked my entire life. And, now I sit here and go, aha, a lot of aha moments. But I didn't have my first sighting until October 1st of 2017. And, I was having some interactions with them because I just started doing what I'm doing. I started late July of 2017 doing what I'm doing now with Chuck. And so October 1st, I had my first sighting at 126 yards away. And this was a pretty big boy, he was about 8.5 feet tall. That moment, it was off the page, out of the books of myth and in my face reality. And, then it became, I really need to know what's going on here. And, and you had mentioned something earlier about, it's their living room. And I absolutely agree 100% with that. And then when I go out, I keep that in mind. So I'm out there as a guest, not an intruder. And, you were saying you guys have this thing going on with, this trip that you have coming up. Here's one thing to think about. And this is what I try to get across to a lot of people. If you come home and you see your front doors opened up a little bit. You know, you're kind of scratching your head going, you know, why is my door open? And you get up on your porch and you see a camera up in the corner, and you go in the door, and, you know, a picture has moved, and you see a camera hidden up in the corner over there, and you're going, what the hell's going on? You know, and you know, it's an invasion of their privacy.
Yep.
You have to treat them like another people, because they are another type of people. You know, they have their own language, they have their own culture, they have hierarchy. You know, they have a methodology to the way that they do things. And, you know, if you're wanting to interact with them, you know, not saying I don't use any technology. I have an audio recorder that I set out every single night, and that's how I get, you know, all this spoken language. And not only do they have their own language, but I've got them recorded speaking English, saying my full name. You know, that blew me out of the water. And you know, so there's a lot more to the, you know, to these people that are out there, and that's what I call them, the forest people. That you know, if you go out there and you have all this gear set up all over the place, not saying you won't have any activity, and not saying you won't catch anything, but the chances of that drop drastically.
Right.
You know, every time, you know, at the very beginning when I would set up trail cameras, and, you know, I'd walk with my GoPro cupped in my hand, pointing behind me, you know, trying to get the, you know, the snapshot, you know,
trying to be sneaky.
Yeah, you know, one of the other researchers from Arizona, Mitch Raitt, who's no longer with us, he died a few years ago, and I never got the opportunity to meet him. But at this place I call Crazy Town, that was his research area, and he would set trap trap cameras up in his ice chest, trying to get pictures of them when they'd open the ice chest. And he's actually got video of a juvenile getting into his ice chest, and that's on one of the Finding Bigfoot episodes, season 3, episode 2, I believe it is, where they were in Payson, Arizona, which is at the base of the Mogollon Rim. Well, he had this video. Well, the video they showed on TV, they made it real grainy, so it was hard to tell. But Chuck has actually seen the actual video of it, when because he was there when they were doing this program, when they were having their town hall, and, you know, it was absolutely clear of what it was. This particular area at Crazy Town, there's 2 mountains, one to the east and one to the west, and there's a clan that lives on each one of those mountains, and that's what Mitch, you know, had figured out. And it was his opinion, and it's also our opinion because of experience, that this particular campsite, the juvenile, or they use it for the juveniles, for like a training ground for them, you know, how to, you know, interact with people and how to get around them and stuff like that. And it's kind of a training grounds for them. A lot of juvenile type activity in there. You know, start hearing like a wildcat, but it's not a wildcat. You know, I know what bobcats, cougars. I know all the sounds these animals make. You know, and it's like, all right, guys, knock it off, and then they go to barking or chirping like birds at, you know, 11 o'clock at night. You know, they're just amazing. But you know, this area that Mitch worked, you know, he got that video of the juvenile, and that was 13 years ago, and I'm fairly confident I have seen that particular individual, that's female, very slender build, kind of a auburn color hair. You know, I've seen her. I believe, I can't prove dogmatically that it's the same one that he had on video, but you know, so it is possible, you know, to use this kind of technology and get something But I personally look at it as an intrusion into their privacy. And I'd made a promise to them, way back at the beginning, because I noticed my activity was next to nothing when I'd have cameras and that set up. And when I remove all the cameras and all that stuff, man, the activity was just insane. So, it didn't take rocket science to figure out that, you set this stuff up, they don't interact, or if they do, it's minimal. And I'm out there trying to, earn their trust and to learn about them from them. And if I'm doing something that they disapprove of, they're not going to interact with me, so I'm not going to do that.
Yeah,
they like,
and we've got.
They love it more than me, that's for sure.
We're gonna be out there for 3 days, so there's a lot of different stuff that we're gonna try. One thing I'm not gonna do is, the first rattle of the box, I'm not breaking out a bunch of technology.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to throw a wet blanket on it per se.
Yeah.
So, if we can get out there and find out that they, if they're there, and get the vibe of the place. And that's a big deal with me is when I get to an area to really get the vibe of the place, because I think that will speak to you, more than anything. I mean, if like you were saying earlier, if you're welcome or not, because you can tell the difference.
Oh yeah.
But guys, I hate to, I need to jump off of here, brother.
All right. Well, it was a pleasure to meet you and talk with you. So, hopefully we'll chat some more.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm going to return the favor, and you got to come over and get on mine. So.
Yep. You got it.
Pleasure, Tex. Have a good one.
Thank you so much, man.
Both of you guys too. I'd love to have y'all on sometime.
All right. Anytime.
Okay. Right on.
Good
to see you, buddy. Thanks again.
Thanks again, Mo.
Yep.
Y'all have a good one.
All right. Peace.
You too, buddy.
Yeah, Tex is a great guy. We've been going back and forth about getting on each other's channel, and finally, he emailed me the other day and was like, "Dude, let's do this." So I emailed him 2 days ago and like, "Let's do it." So that's awesome. I'm glad Tex got on here.
Yeah, I'm
a great guy. He's a great guy.
Ben's asking a question. Do you think they know about technology?
Yes.
Yes.
I do.
Yep, they know about it. They have turned my audio recorder off. They have wiped my MP3 player, 7 gigs worth of music. They wiped it right off of there. They drained the battery on my wife's phone. They know what tech. You got to look at it like this. They are a lot smarter than we are.
Absolutely.
Because we use technology, and they don't, does not mean they don't know what it is and know how to circumvent it. They just have no need for it. They're
like, the time I said I had the Bigfoot and the full body apparition in a photo. And something else, I'm not quite sure what it was, but that phone was fully charged. It shut off, completely shut off, powered off 4 times. The 5th time, as soon as I powered it on, I said, "This will not hurt you." As soon as it come on, I hit camera, took a picture. The phone went off again, and it fried. It never worked again. And if that photo hadn't went to the SD card, I wouldn't have had it.
Yep.
But that phone never worked again. Just weird stuff like that happens.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said before, I've caught EVPs when I'm down, and especially the juveniles. At night I got one. I call him Stinky because man, he stinks so bad. And the pasture from the front door to the side right here is 20 feet. So I keep a solar light, pretty bright one pointed that way. And there's been times when I can go out and cut it on and come in and it won't be 30 minutes. I'll hear something pecking the house, throwing something, hitting the house. I walk out the door, that solar light's been turned from the pasture to shine on the wall of the house. Just messing with you.
Mm-hmm.
So many things like that. But yeah, as far as technology, yeah, they know what it is, and they know what most of it does, I think. And that's why, like the one game camera I did put up, it was ripped off the tree, and I've never found it. I found an inch piece of the strap, but that was it. I don't know where it went.
Yeah, Mitch Waite, that was one of the problems he ran into. Mitch Waite was a very intelligent guy. He was an officer in the Air Force, worked inside of NORAD. He was part of the control system. Nothing came into the atmosphere without him knowing about it. But he had a sighting and some experiences, and his problem was he was wanting to prove to the world that they exist. And I took an entirely different route. I'm not out to prove anything to anybody. I'm just, I share my experiences, and I'm in this for myself. But one of the things, he thought somebody was stealing his trail cameras. So him and his son would come out with a 10-foot ladder and place it up against the tree and then lag bolt it into the tree. And, so this thing's like 10, 12 feet up in the air, and they're ripped right out of the trees. Yeah. He actually had one that was smashed on the ground, and it looked like it was urinated on. But
I wouldn't doubt that for a minute.
Yeah. For whatever the reason is, they don't want their picture taken. And I, who am I to question them on that? I know they don't like it. So I do have a picture with them in, I believe 5 individuals in it, 4 for sure. But I was taking a picture of a branch that was rammed into the ground right next to the road. And they were 30 feet back. It's kind of an open area, but they were about 30 feet back and hidden back behind the trees. And it was like 2 weeks after I took the picture that I was looking at it, and something caught my eye, and I zoomed in on it. And I was like, well, holy shit. But, so that's the only picture that I have of them. And that, that was not there's one and I'm taking a picture. It was just, they happened to be in the background. Why I was not able to see them. And my buddy Chuck, maybe because we were too fixated on this branch that was rammed into the ground, or that they were in a state that only the camera could see and we couldn't see with our eyes. I have no idea. I have no answer to that. Especially one of the ones that are in it. He's a big boy, and this is a completely different research area from where Indy's at. And this individual's about the same size as Indy, probably 11 foot tall and 1,600 pound range.
That's big. I just couldn't fathom running into that or seeing that. And I want to. It's crazy. I know. Be careful what you wish for, but.
I try to get myself prepared, because I do a lot of walking around when I'm up there on the rim. And, I try to keep myself prepared that at any moment one can step out from behind a tree right in front of me and it'd be like, and I know it'll scare the shit out of me. It'll be more of a startle thing than me actually being afraid of them. But I keep putting in my head that, these guys are huge and, and they're not pretty, so I think of it as like one of my little grandkids looking up at me. And, we were all little kids once and we had to look up at everybody. And as we grow up, get older and get taller, everything becomes on a level plane. Well, I'm trying to reintroduce into my head that I may walk around a corner and here's this 11-foot guy standing right in front of me, to kind of get mentally prepared for that shock event. Like I said, I saw him walk by my camp once, and I still have a hard time getting my head over how big he was when we did the recreation, and I had Chuck in the same spot, and Chuck's like 6'1", and he came up to about the waist, just a little over where the waist would have been. It's incredible, so to just be walking around out there and walk around the corner and have his junk hanging in my face,
that would be scary alone.
Yeah, well, I mean, that would be the reality of it. I'm just under 6 foot. I'm 5'11", and if I walk around a corner into somebody who's 11, 12 foot tall, well, guess where my face is,
and much less the girth of these things. A lot of people don't realize these things are thick. Thick, man. Amazingly.
I don't know if you were on or not. You may have disappeared when I had said this, when I had seen Indy walk by. The barrel of his chest, from front of his chest to his back, was about 3 feet thick. I mean, it just incredible
girth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had walked out on the deck because I heard something, and then when I got out there, the phone just went haywire. I went out of the chat, so I came back in.
Oh, no worries. I figured you'd pop back in. At first, I was like, "Oh shit, did I do that?" But it wasn't.
Damn it, Russ.
I'm always pushing the wrong button.
Everybody's voice started, I don't know, cutting out, electronic-y sounding.
Yeah.
And that's happened before when they're outside and I'm on the phone. The phones will go haywire. The internet will go haywire.
Mm-hmm.
It's strange.
Yeah, one of the other things I have them do quite often, when I'm over where you were at, Russ, over at Hilltop 91,
mm-hmm.
There's one of the individuals there that thinks it's great to completely screw up the Bluetooth on my truck. That's the only place it happens. So I get in my truck to go out and make, I got to drive 5 miles one way to make a phone call, because I got to call my wife every day. And I'll drive out there. My Bluetooth is all screwed up, and I got to take it out of the system on the truck and reinstall it. And then it might work. I get kind of lazy, and I don't want to sit here and talk to my wife holding the phone to, the side of my face. I like just sitting there in the truck and having a conversation with her. But, sometimes I have to hold the phone up because my Bluetooth will not work. And that's the only place it does that.
Pappy Two Bears wants to know, Tony, have you ever tried sweeping your area with an EMF detection meter?
I borrowed one time, and yeah, it was down in a certain area. It was off the charts, but up towards the house, it was good. I even done the inside of the house. It was good, but there's one area, it's off the charts.
Yeah, that's one thing. I have been interested in giving it a try. Is an EMF meter. I don't know that they would have a problem with that. I just don't have a couple $100 to go spend on an EMF.
Well, that's why I borrowed one.
Yep.
Right on. Let's see if there's any more questions. Yeah, guys, if you got questions, put them in chat. Put them in caps so I can pick them out.
It was like one day
somebody
I was mowing.
Go ahead.
I was mowing the pasture, and my first run around, and I'm going by these 7 foot tall weeds, and I come around and I, got that feeling, and if if don't nobody know, when these things are around, I feel it more than I see them. But sometimes, you know, when I get that feeling, I start looking and I do see it. I made the second pass on this mower by the weeds, and I got to turn and I come back up, and my mower was squealing like crazy. You know, I thought it was my mower, and I said, "Man, there's something hung on the blades, or you know, bearings are going out or something." So I stopped it and shut it off, and you know, I got to looking where I had just passed, and that's the first time I seen one come out running on all fours. And that sucker run on all fours and hit those other high bushes. He went about 60 yards and about 3 seconds flat.
Mm-hmm.
And he stood up over there by a big tree. And I mean, this is a big tree, but the inside of it was hollow. And he's standing there looking at me. And, you know, I'm standing there still trying to process, is this my mower or was it this thing? And he just hits the tree, man. And like I say, it's a big tree. And it comes down. So I ticked him off, I guess, that day with the mower. So I just left the mower sitting where it was. I said, I'll mow it in a few more days. I'll just let it sit. You know, that's just one of those things that I had to ride right by him. So if he wanted me, he could have got.
Oh yeah, people just don't realize how fast they are. I watched one. Probably 3/4 moon out. It was fairly light out, and this is a different research location about 2 miles away from where you were at, Russ, where you came to visit.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a big open area, and I had walked up to one end of it. So from the top of the hill down to the other side of the camp where I watch this thing run by me, what was probably about somewhere between 60 to 80 yards, and it was just seconds. I mean, it was like, did I just see what I saw? You know, how in the hell could something move that fast? But I know exactly what I saw. And, you know, so keeping that in mind, now when I hear noises, you know, where it sounds like they're moving around the camp, I don't look where the noise is. I look way past that to see where they're going to. And that's actually how I saw Indy that time, because I heard a snap off at my 10 o'clock. And so I immediately looked over to my 8 o'clock and I watched him walk by. And, you know, he being at least 11 feet tall, you know, he was just strolling along is the way I say it, but he was still moving along at a pretty good clip, you know, because of the, you know, the length of, you know, the stride of the step. But he was by no means moving at full speed. Not like the one I saw at that other location. And since then, I've seen shit. I don't know. I can't even begin to count. Probably 25, 30 different times. You know, having night sightings, and you know, watching these things just, you know, move. You know, I mean, move fast, and you know, it just boggles
it's mind blowing, really.
It is.
How something that big can move that fast, man. It just amazes me. I can just imagine how much power they.
It
really
makes
do,
sense though when you think about, you know, the size that it does move that fast. Ruger is asking, Crow, did you ever check out what I thought I saw in your 4th of July video?
I don't think so. I'll have to go back and look at that. Because I get busy, you know, like I said, with the wife being sick and things. I get busy and I forget a lot of stuff, y'all.
I forget why I walk into the kitchen half the times. I'm like, what the fuck did I walk in here for?
Hey, I can relate, man.
Oh, dude, yeah. Lately it's just happened a lot too often. I'm only 52, you know.
I'm close to the 50, but
don't rush it.
No rushing. Yeah.
Well, you know
I
what?
tell you what, I've used sometimes when I think they're around, when I don't want to flick lights and stuff on, I've used just stobs, wooden stobs. When I thought they were getting in my barn, I set up a little grid with spider wire, fishing line, wooden stobs, and I hung little small wind chimes on it. And I knew them when they crossed that fence, as soon as they crossed it, they'd hit that spider wire and that wind chime, ding, 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 ding. And I've had them, I actually rigged them up on the gates on the barn too. And I've had them open those gates, and those gates got a rod that swings in and locks. Well, you have to pull it up and then push it out, and they're pretty heavy. And yeah, I kept having them open. And I said, there's nothing missing. So at that time, I'd done sold a horse, so I didn't have any more feed in there. But I think that's what they were going in there for, was try to find the feed.
How long has it been since there was feed there?
About 2 weeks.
Okay, so that's more than likely what they were looking for. That's
since then they haven't come back in the barn.
Since they didn't find it.
Feed's gone, and I think they knew I was onto them, rigging up stuff, and they're smart.
Mm-hmm.
Ruger said you should check that out. Apparently your 4th of July video. Slow it down to 25% speed, he says.
Okay. I'll check into it.
All right. I'm just going to look for some more questions. And I am going to cut this a little short tonight. It is a school night. It's my Sunday night. Tomorrow's my Monday. Professor Orange. 3 handsome chaps. Great. Thanks, buddy.
Amen.
Hi, B. Welcome. But yeah, I am going to call this a night. I want to thank you guys for showing up. I'm glad Tex came. That was I enjoyed having Tex on. I like Tex. He's a good guy. Yeah. And you're all great people. Don't get me wrong. I'm not playing favorites.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Beat feed. But yeah, I'll you guys, you're more than welcome to come back. Yeah. I mean, it's you guys that make the show. It's everybody in chat. Anybody's welcome. And I'm just digging the way it's turned out, and everybody's really on board with this and willing to show up and make a show, and it's awesome. We get to meet some really good people doing this, and hopefully it'll keep going. I'll keep doing my part.
Sounds a good place to come.
Right on.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna pop you off. If you want to say goodnight to anybody, say goodnight to chat. Before I throw you guys backstage.
Yeah. Well, good night, y'all, and peace out.
Thanks. Well, guys, another good night. I thought it was a good show. Everybody seemed to behave. Thank you. It's kind of funny because there's not much behaving that has to be done in chat when I give you permission to curse. It's like it's weird. I don't know. Anyway. But guys, I will be here. Saturday, I'm going to pop on. I'm going to come on probably later, and maybe we'll do a little Halloween thing. Why not? I don't usually do weekends, but we will this weekend. Chatting friends. All right, B. Thanks, everybody. My mods. Big Rob. I don't know if Chris is still here. Bell, everybody that's going out of their way and helping this channel out. Thank you. You guys are awesome, and everybody in chat and everybody watching. I wish I knew how many were watching when I get the chat number, but I don't know who else is watching. But thanks, guys. Thanks for all the support you guys have been giving me, and you guys are amazing. And we'll keep this going. All right, you guys take care. Have a wonderful night. Hope it's not too late. And I will see you soon. All right. Peace and God bless, guys. Thanks again.